Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Mainframe Book Club. I have with me today Andrea. Andrea, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us about what you do?
Yes, I'm Andrea Dürnhöfer. I've been working for a large bank for 16 years. Before that, I work in RACF as a senior system administrator in different banks in IBM, and also my first job was in the state, in official state company. I don't know if I have to call it company, Social Security from Argentina. I'm also working in Argentina most of the time with the RACF, but I also in IBM. I also work for in DB2. And now I changed my position 2 years ago from RACF to DB2 Kicks and other software from ZOS, because the mainframe moved to Mexico. So the work changed a lot in the last years, and I'm also close to retire. No,
Well, you come with
hopefully.
lots. I think the expression is you come with lots of experience. So, with that in mind, let me ask my first question. Andrea, I know we've spoken before, but it would be interesting if you could just tell some of the people out there what you think might be some useful soft skills if you was looking to move towards being a RACF analyst from your point of view.
The one of the most important thing is try to be open to learn, be also inquisitive, and also adaptable to change. If you live in a non-speaking English country, for me it's a must. When I began working, I decided to go to a American English Institute, where I finished my courses there, because I think that the best manuals, books, people, the forums, and so on, everything is written or most of the things, not everything. You have also Spanish forums, no? But many of them are written in English, and it's not that important how to speak, but that you understand everything you read, no? That is for me very important. Um, Also, another point, when I began, maybe I bought some books, but I think that all the documentation, IBM documentation, Redbooks documentation, and forums for me are more than enough. No. Also, one thing that in my first job, my boss was a genius for me. He was a system programmer, also with assembler, that you don't meet so many people that they now many people use third-party softwares like I don't know how it's secure beta system and so on. But for me, it's important to know how things work now. And in my different another thing is a good point is to change jobs, because you see different ideas, different not all the jobs works with the same products. For example, Control M, or they use different softwares maybe. In one of my jobs, when I went to HFEC, because the bank where I work, it was sold, they also used top secret that I never saw in my life, top secret before. In IBM, I also saw a little about ACF2,
Yep.
I think. Yes. And that you are more open if you change jobs. And one very, very important thing that I consider working in security, you have to know about DB2, KICS, ZOS, the third part software, Control M, OPC, or whatever. And it's very important to have a good relationship with, to build a good relationship with all the ZOS people, in my opinion. And another thing, also to be in contact with people from other banks that work in the same area. You can ask how you do something. Maybe when I move from one bank to another, one of my best friend was in the previous one, and we ask each other different or discuss different things, no?
Yeah.
Yes, always it's in the same topic, no? Try to learn and from others, and to teach others, and to be humble. Another, not in every position, but in most of them, we had a sandbox, a test partition, where you can, where I could test different things, from maybe to decide I will use that or I will not use it, but I could test it in a sandbox, or we call it test partition. The sandbox, you can test the things that you read and that you're not using, for example, or that you're using and you want to change, no?
And I think it's something you mentioned to me last time, is that especially within a RACF role, having a sandbox and test environment is really good, so that any work you do is non-disruptive for the rest of the users. So that's a big tip as well that you gave when we spoke previously.
Yes, yes, the sandbox for me, but you're not able to have a sandbox in every job, no?
Hmm.
But in most of them, you have, maybe in one job I didn't have a sandbox, but when they were discover and recovery plan, you can, I could prove in the, I don't know, in where you recover in the disaster recovery plan, I could prove there, but it was not during the whole year, no? It was in a period of time that they said, okay, you can prove now different things or new features. So maybe it's more when you upgrade, because change, there change, things change in every upgrade also, no?
I know exactly what you mean. And you mentioned, and we'll just cover this. I know you mentioned about talking to the system programmers and the different support teams. I know you said that you've also connected to some people in the industry, like Craig Mullins was something you mentioned to me, and to understand the installation and administration for the various systems that you support is very helpful in your role.
Yes, because you have to understand what you're protecting, no?
Hmm.
Or what not that they tell you, no, I need that. No, you have to understand what you're protecting in kicks, what you're protecting in DB2, what you're protecting with XCOM, Connect Direct, or whatever you're protecting, and it's uh, it's very important that you have to be fluid with the conversation
Hmm.
with those people, and maybe to read together and to understand together what they are installing and how you have to protect it. What is the best way to protect? To Another thing that I mentioned is that you have to be a little humble, not to
Hmm.
be I know everything, you don't know anything, or to be patient. And also maybe another thing, when I ask very smart people something, not before asking something, I try to read it and to ask uh, after you read about the topic, no? In my, not to say how it works and you didn't read anything, no? Try to the specialist, try to understand a little before asking.
I think that's really some valid points there. The administrator guides for the different products is always a helpful starting point as a RACF analyst, which people may not think of. So that's quite an interesting point there. And I know that you've also mentioned the IBM Red Books, and I think every podcast we've had the same people have mentioned to read the Red Books. You've mentioned forums. I don't know if there's any specific forums, but I do know that we discussed a couple of books last time. So would you like to mention the books that we discussed?
But one was about DB2. When I work in IBM, I bought a specific DB2 book, and also
I can tell you the book. It was the official
yes,
introduction for DB2 for ZOS you showed me last time.
yes, but that was for version 8. It was a very old book, outdated nowadays, because we are in the version, at least where I work, 13. And the other one was from, yes, you can say it because I don't have it now.
Here you go.
And
It was administrator training materials, and it was from the US Environmental Protection Agency. There you
yes, I
go. I
use it.
wrote it down.
Those books, I use it, but many, many years ago, I think more than 15 years ago, no? Now, with all what you have on the web, you had it before also, but when I began working, you saw the manuals were on paper. I work in a with a green
Hmm.
screen, and I managed to ask for the books in my first job, and I took it home, and I read at home, because at first, when I in my first job, it was I had to enter. It was more administrative because I didn't know anything and I wanted to learn, and I asked them to to take the books at home. I had no internet at home. It was in the beginning of the 90s.
I think what's interesting is a lot of people, at least from myself, we always looked at the RACF team as being the people we never really sure how they got the role. or what they did. We just knew that they were like computer security and they were beavered away and no one really interacted with them. So I think this will be quite interesting for people to find out what sort of books that you read, how you go about doing your job. I think it's quite interesting because
Yes.
it's almost, for me, when I first started, there was like this ivory tower. We didn't talk to certain people and we just didn't know what certain other jobs did. So you went in, you did your job, you learned. But it was like, anyone know what computer security do? No. Well, what did I actually do all day? Nobody knew. And it's fascinating to hear, at least for me, what actually a day-to-day kind of and what sort of things you would do. It, it all sounds obvious now when you hear them, but it's really interesting to hear as well.
Thanks. Yes. Yes, you have to know a little of everything, no? When you are protecting, for me, it's very important to know what you, I repeat it, know what you protect, and you know a little of, you're not a DB2 specialist, you're not a KICS specialist, but you know in more or less a little of,
Yes, like you said to me, you need to sort of understand, but then be prepared to learn from tech people with specialisms in these different areas.
yes, I had in every job I had with the people of gigs and DB2, I had a very good relationship. I because we had to work together.
And I think that's really interesting because, at least for me, I always pictured um, the computer security team as being kind of at the side, and I didn't think of them having good relationships with different teams. And so
No,
it's
not
interesting to hear that.
no, not everyone. Not everyone. In most of the cases, yes, we had a good relationship. But when in my last job, when I entered, they didn't have a very good relationship. But I wanted to, because I need them. I don't know. They are the smart people, the system programmer, the kicks, the DB2, the it was communication people.
Hmm.
They were for me the smart people, and they were, and I didn't understand. Wow, why they they are not in that good relationship if eh, they are the people who can teach you a lot.
Yeah.
And it's very sensitive also. If you work in a bank, the data is also very sensitive.
In terms of, and I know we've covered quite a lot already, is there anything else you feel that we need to cover that I've not? I know you mentioned some forums. So are they specific RACF forums that you'd go to for like?
Yes, there is RACFL,
Hmm.
is the RACF forums. There are also retired people that I'm more a reader than a
Hmm.
writer, but it's very, very interesting because you can find there, you have also archive from many, many
Hmm.
years ago. Maybe you search digital certificates, and there are a lot of stuff of people who had trouble with digital certificates, and maybe before writing a question you can look
Hmm.
what other people, like any forum of.
Just a question, where is that forum held? Is it on LinkedIn or Facebook or?
No, 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 it's a mail, forum,
Ah.
it's RACFL. Is listserv. UGA is Georgia University, I think University Georgia. A listserv, RACF discussion list forum. I use it, I think, over 20 years, sure.
Hmm.
Because I began with the forum, yes, before 2000, the years 2000.
That's really interesting that that's where that forum is and how it's held. So that's quite an interesting little sub point. Just
But you have also for system programmers forums,
hmm
and maybe I don't know. I when I had more time, I was younger. Maybe I read the forums to learn, no, to learn new things. Not looking for something, but to see
yeah,
new
just to get a
things.
feel. Yeah, get a feel of
Yes.
yeah. And it's interesting. Would you say there's any particular anything else that would be useful for people? Any training or anything else that we've missed that I need to just capture? Is
No, don't be afraid of asking
hmm
everything to learn to be humble to adapt changes. Maybe that is the at least for me adaptability of that things change, and when you're older maybe it's more difficult. Yes, also for DB2, Greg Mullins is a very good reference for me.
hmm
But I think that I bought both books in Amazon, no?
hmm
That I got it in Amazon. Another interesting read books is ABC of System Programmer that are very many volumes. And also what I forgot to mention, in my previous jobs, we had courses, no?
hmm
Not online, but people who came to the company and IBM, I had it. I had it also in the Social Security, and
hmm
also in the previous bank I went to. But now everything is online, no? Or
Yeah.
most of the things.
Yes.
I don't want to say everything.
Well, Andrea, I think we've covered quite a lot when people actually listen to this. So, what I want to just end with is saying thank you very much for your time.
No, thank you to you.